Today I bring you Ori and the Blind Forest, a game where a little alien goes on a journey to save his family. Hey, wait a second. I think I've seen this movie before. I mean, if you look at it, was this intentional? So anyway, the game opens up with an almost 12-minute long cutscene. But it fools you into thinking otherwise. Let me ask you this. What is the difference between watching a scene happening and holding a direction to walk to the next scene and pressing X to get to the next block of text? Absolutely nothing. The first 10 to 12 minutes of this game is an animated cutscene showing us Stitch and Dr. Jumba and how they live. They seem to be getting along fine until some light shows up and we get text saying they're looking for Stitch, and Dr. Jumba immediately takes me into his basement. Now, I don't know if this is what Moon Studios was going for, but I'm now under the impression that I'm a prisoner. One morning the forest is dead and my captor is lifeless on the floor and I display signs of Stockholm Syndrome. Now, I could be wrong, but that's how I interpreted this start. You know what I was thinking this whole time? When do I get to play the game? There is no reason for the game to waste so much time. What did they want to establish here? Ori and Naru lived happily until shit hit the fan. Now, that setup is fine, but it doesn't need to take so long to establish. Do you buy a game to play a game, or to see a movie? I would imagine you want a game. To illustrate my point, let's take a look at the beginning of Knuckles' game in Sonic and Knuckles. Knuckles is just chilling out and all the animals are being fanciful and stuff, then a bomb drops in, disrupting the peace, and Robo-Eggman shows up, signaling the appearance of the Badniks. We know the basic plot, who the bad guy is, and why we should care. This scene takes about 10 seconds and we get to play the game immediately. And it isn't just in the opening. Another example of the game not letting you play it comes after I got the water spirit and saved that part of the world. There's an exciting race to safety as the water threatens to kill you at any mistake you make. The sequence tests you on your mastery of the bash and wall jump to survive this trial. This is hands down my favorite part of the game. But then, control of the game is wrestled away from me so I can see the bad guy again and be told I need to go to the next spirit. I already know this! The game has already established my objective. Stitch needs to collect the 3 spiritual stones so I can save the Shire from Kaepora Gaebora. The game looks fine. However, I'm seeing a lot of people who have their noses so far up Moon Studios' anus, I can look the developer in the face and see small brown pointy noses hanging from its mouth. That's not to say the art looks bad. It certainly works for the tone and setting of the game. You know some other games this art style worked in? I don't know. How about these? Now, I'm no art expert, but all these titles look very similar to me. But that's not important. What is important is how I can clearly discern every detail of the environment. After all, a game can look gorgeous, but if you can't tell what's a platform and what's a spike pit, well, what's the point? I can easily tell what every object is in this game, and that is a huge plus. I can tell what I can interact with, and visual cues give me an idea of what will hurt me. I never jumped on or near anything I thought would cause damage, and on the flip side, I was able to infer what was safe and interactable to jump off. When the game decides you can play it, it's a very enjoyable Metroidvania. Lots to explore and something I've missed where a game lets you figure out what to do. For example, there's an impassable wall early in the game. An enemy near it has the ability to charge at you. It's up to you, the player, to figure out you need to make the enemy charge at the wall. There isn't a text box saying, "Hey, you should totally have that Rhyhorn hit the wall so it'll break." You're not given a whole lot of help with traversing the map either. You're given your objective location, which is usually on an unexplored part of the map, and it's up to you to get there however you decide to do it. Now, granted the map isn't particularly complex, but it's still up to the player to figure out how to accomplish each task. I'm just a little worried though, because I see a lot of reviews for the game praising the story when all the story did was take gameplay away from me. But this is one of the first games in a long time that's been an original IP and wasn't half-assed, so I feel like people are giving it far more credit than it deserves. Yes, Moon Studios did a good job on this game, but I don't want Moon Studios to think they've created something infallible. My hope is someone on the team will see this video and take what I've said into consideration and make those small improvements to their next game. We've seen everything in this game from the art to the mechanics before, we just haven't seen it done well in a long time. And I think people are forgetting that. Anyway, the game is $20 on Steam, and even after all I've said, it's still a good game worth the price.